What's up, Bold Move besties? Guess what I'm offering? Government contract coaching for small businesses. It is your opportunity to get the real, the relevant, and the way to do government contracting correctly with the federal, local, and state government. Inside, you will get details on how to start in government contracting all the way through winning your first contract, which is, by the way, not guaranteed, but we're trying to get you there. So if you're interested, please sign up in the link below, and I will catch you in the next cohort. I think as small businesses, we sometimes look at all the other vendors or potential businesses that are going after an opportunity, and we miss being able to develop those relationships. Will it always be a win? No. So from other potential companies that you could partner with or team with or just start building those relationships, that's where I would go to at least get started in that. I'm going to talk a lot about SAM.gov because it's a free resource. You can search for those contracts or for those opportunities, but I want to say that it still starts with relationships. Welcome back, Bold Move besties, to another episode of She Built Success. I am your host, Claudia. Let's get on into it. So I want to talk about government contracting. I want to talk about some of the misconceptions. There's a lot of misinformation in the government space, and well, not even the government space, but in how to get started in the government space. So let's talk about it. As a small business, there is something on your tax returns called a NAICS code. That's NAICS. That is North American Industry Classification System. It is a 6-digit code that typically identifies the industry that you're in. So your accountant or your tax preparer would typically know what that is. And again, you would find it on your tax return. That NAICS code says this is the type of industry that I work in. The government uses the NAICS code to be able to put out different contract opportunities to the small business / business community. And when it comes to NAICS codes, you can have more than one. On your tax return, you have one. It's a primary. But when it comes to NAICS codes and doing business with the government, you can have more than one. So for instance, I'm going to rattle off a bunch of numbers, but I have 541611, which is general admin. I have 541512, which is computer systems designs. I have 541613, which is in the marketing space. And then I think I'm forgetting one that is in, again, more computer design type space. But those are like some of my general bucket NAICS codes. When I lead, usually in the government space, for my primary NAICS code, it's usually 541512 or 541611. And then I later added the marketing. So that was computer systems and design. That was general admin. And then the other one was in the marketing space. And going to SAM.gov, which is the system for award management, that's basically where those contracting opportunities lie. And in there, the government says, okay, I'm going to put out a contract for, let's say computer systems and design. So that's like sometimes software, that's sometimes consultants that specialize in particular software. So they go and they put out a contracting opportunity for 541512. I'm going to say that because I know I use that one. And I can go on SAM.gov, and I will pause and say to get onto SAM.gov is free. So I know there's been a lot of I won't say a lot, but I have seen it where folks charge money in order to get you as a company registered on SAM.gov. I'm telling you right now, you could do it yourself, and it's free. It's a whole guided process. They have help documentation if you get stuck. But if you need a resource, hit me up. I got you covered. But SAM.gov is where all those contract opportunities reside. And they classify them by the NAICS code. And when they classify them by the NAICS code, it allows them to kind of bucket the type of work. Now, do they always get the NAICS code right? They do not. Sometimes, like there's a general one that I work under. Sometimes it's 541990, which is almost like a other classification in the 541 series. That, sometimes the people who are putting together their proposal or putting together the solicitations don't know a right code. And so they kind of go with an other bucket in a said group. I'll back up another step and say solicitations is just a way to say the government is putting out a a potential opportunity for you as a business to bid on. There is a whole workflow and a whole process that goes through what it looks like to put like the pre-solicitation and notices and the actual solicitation. And so there's like a whole process that in the government space they work through in order to bring a potential contract or potential opportunity to the market. Now, once you've identified your NAICS code and once you signed up for SAM.gov, you're now in a position to start, like I said, searching and seeing, okay, what kind of opportunities can I look at? And they do have keyword search on SAM.gov. They do have, you can search by agencies. I mean, there's all kind of different ways you can search for those contracts, or for those opportunities. But I want to say that it still starts with relationships and building those relationships. So let's say you're a small business, you offer a service, and you are looking to not only make your service available for the government, but maybe you need some help. Maybe you need what's called a teaming partner or a partner or a joint venture. Both of those, while they're different, they both are a form of your company meeting up or coming together with another company. So in a teaming arrangement, it might be if you have your company and I say, okay, hey, I want us to bid on this contract because I can do project management and you could do some of the technical aspects of an IT project. Then I would say, okay, how about we combine forces and you can go two ways. You can either do a teaming agreement, which is a 70-30, 75-25, something like that. I mean, we would have to decide on those terms, what that looks like, but we can come together and blend our resources and go submit for that contract. The other option would be to do a joint venture, which is similar but different because you're coming together, but you're forming a whole new entity as a company. So pick wisely, but the underlying thing here is relationships and how do you start building those relationships. So one of the ways is, again, I'm gonna talk a lot about SAM.gov because it's a free resource and it is where the government posts a majority of their contracting opportunities. So I want to get you acquainted with that. So what they do is when they put out different solicitations or pre-solicitations, meaning they're thinking about it, they have what's called an interested vendors list. So if you follow, there's like if you click on a contract opportunity and it looks like interesting to you, you have the opportunity to push the follow button. And pushing the follow button actually allows you to not only stay abreast on what's happening with that particular opportunity, but it also gives you access to what's called an interested vendors list. The interested vendors list is a way for any company that raise their hand, says, hey, I would like to potentially be a part of this. Their information gets entered or logged and it becomes a part of this longer list. So one way you could start developing those relationships, whether it's intended to be a partnership or a potential joint venture or just, getting to know I'm not going to say competition, I'll say your co-opetition. So your opportunity to collaborate on a particular opportunity. So it's not really competition to me, it's just co-opetition. How you can start using that to your advantage is reaching out and saying, hey, I saw you were interested in said opportunity. I was wondering if we can have a brief call to talk about either what may be possible or what your strengths are. Those are all options to kind of open that doorway to have those conversations. I think as small businesses, we sometimes look at all the other vendors or potential businesses that are going after an opportunity, and we miss being able to develop those relationships because it says, again, if you're following that particular opportunity, hey, these are all the people that are interested. Well, these are also all the people that you can go start having conversations with. Will it always be a win? No. Not everybody is of the same vein. Some people really are thinking everybody is out for, themselves kind of a mentality. So, those are also out there, but that's anywhere in business. So from other potential companies that you could partner with or team with or just start building those relationships, that's where I would go to at least get started in that. The other avenue is developing relationships with specific agencies. These are agencies that you're interested in doing business with in the government space, developing those relationships to be able to understand better where they're going. So there was an executive order that was put into play that essentially meant that all agencies have to have an action plan. And in this executive order, it requires them to do X amount, I think the threshold now is 25% of small business as an entire federal government organization. And in doing so, there's an action plan that says, hey, we as insert the federal agency's name, this is how we plan on meeting our goals or meeting that goal. And part of being able to meet that goal, they have discussions with the SBA, which is the Small Business Administration, to talk about what those thresholds are every fiscal year. A fiscal year is the way that the government marks their period of performance. I don't say that because period of performance is contract, is the way they mark their start and end date of a year. So their fiscal year starts October 1 and ends September 30th. So in the government space, that's a fiscal year. Whereas our calendar year starts January 1 and ends December 31st. So their Q1 starts October 1, whereas our Q1 starts January, if you run by calendar year, starts January 1. But it allows the government or you being able to know which agencies you're looking at allows you to be able to put together a strategy to start building those relationships with the small business divisions of agencies. Not all of them have what's called an OSDBU, and I'll get you the full OSDBU, Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, something like that. I'll get it cleared up in the show notes, don't worry, and in the description. But it allows you to be able to, they're like advocates for small business, and they listen to small businesses. I will say this, not all are created equal. There are some small business offices within the agencies that are very interactive with the small business community. There are others that are not, and there are some that are standoffish. They look like or act like they're about it, but really behind the scenes are not. So I'm just forewarning you there that that is a thing. But again, comes with business, right? And not everybody's personality is necessarily out for the better good. So building relationships with the agencies and specifically with the small business offices allows you to be able to start being known in that community, and your name and what you do come up in conversations. And it's not so much, I mean, it really does depend. It's not so much, hey, I know Susie Q over here, she does AI, maybe you should go talk to her. No, but it's more like, I know a small business, they're really heavy into AI. They work with bots a lot, and they're able to, they've done things like put together easy and automated workflows for a certain division or a certain department. Like that's the way the conversations kind of sound. Maybe it would work for you, I don't know, but I can connect you. Like that's what it sounds like on their side sometimes. Then other times it's like, oh, I know somebody that does AI. Let me tell you, I just came back from this conference. Speaking of conferences and networking events, there are a lot out there that are, I call them business card or paper pushers, where they just want to give you their business card and they're like, yeah, so we do this, so let's partner. Maybe we should have coffee. You ain't need to have coffee with everybody. Be selective. I mean, be open. I'm not saying shut it down, but be selective. And going to those networking events, especially not industry days. Industry days are where a division of an agency will put on for the small business community, sometimes for large companies as well, to come together and just basically meet one another, collaborate. They kind of are the liaison, if you will, to foster those relationships and build, so that sometimes the really large companies can partner with the small companies or vice versa and use them in their subcontracting. In subcontracting, I'm trying to, as I'm stepping through this, I know that a lot of these terms are new for you or may sound new, you're not sure. So I'm trying to help clarify that. So if there is something in this episode or any other subsequent episodes that you listen to that you're like, what does that mean? Please just leave a comment. I do read comments and I will respond accordingly. So I'm going to go back into the networking event. So you're at this networking event. The agencies are there. Representatives are there. The large corporations are there. You as a small business are there. You're not trying to collect all the business cards. It ain't like Pokemon cards. We're not doing that. It is being strategic and understanding what it is you're trying to do. So go in there with a game plan. And I'll give you a real example. When I go to these events, I am not passing out a physical card. I literally am not. I stopped doing that a while ago, like years ago. I actually have a QR code. And on my QR code, they can scan it and they can do two things. One, they can see my LinkedIn profile, because for me, that's where I'm putting out content. That's where I'm talking. That's where I'm in the DMs heavy. And two, they scan a QR code and it has my what's called a capability statement. And a capability statement is nothing more than me as my company can perform these type of services, and we've worked with these type of agencies. That's essentially the bare bones of what a capability statement is. So it's like your business resume. And when I go to events, depending on who I'm talking to, I'm either giving them the LinkedIn or a capability statement or both. But everybody doesn't get it. And I'm saying that because I've gotten plenty of business cards where I'm just like, I don't even know what this person does. And like on their business card, it's like Joe Schmo, and I have, I'm on the GSA schedules, and we could talk about that another time, but I'm on the schedule and I have this certification and these are my NAICS codes. Like, I'm not, that's not it for me. Instead, lead with how you can help fill a gap. And no, you're not going to always know all the gaps, but like right now, AI is hot and AI is everywhere. And the government is like molasses when it comes to doing anything, even in the AI space. But they are adopting some very slowly components of AI, and they are exploring. And so it's like, how can your company or how can your business come in and talk about how you fill those gaps? And you're not necessarily talking about how great you are. It might be you lead with something about them, like, how are you guys doing with your strategic objectives? That's a bit forward. So I'd probably use that as like question two or three. But it may look like something like, I read about you guys' action plan for fiscal year 2025, and I see that you're trying to target X amount of percentage of contracts towards AI. Did you know? And you can insert some industry fact there, right? You want something to be memorable or at least start lingering, and you're going to meet with them more than once. Like you should be seeing them more than once in order for them to start developing the association of, hey, this person or this company performs said service. So it's introducing yourself, not so much as, hey, this is what we do and we're great and you should hire us. And it's more so approaching it, hey, this is what I know about your agency. This is how I think we can mutually benefit one another. Or if you're talking to like another potential partner or as an agency, this is how I think we may be able to help. And when you said we may be able to help, keep it really short, because I promise you, everybody, there's like a line. They're like celebrities. There's a line to talk to all these executives or different folks that are in these agencies. And it's tiring. I know that not because I am in the agency, but I've talked to folks who do this on a regular, and it's tiring. And while they're public servants and that's the path that they chose, and that's great, it is tiring to be in a line and hearing the same stuff over and over again about how great we are or how great the business is. And instead, ask them something about themselves. I mean, even if it's a personal something about themselves, like, how are you doing? How are you hanging up? Like, I've actually, instead of me even leading with what my company can do, not necessarily do, but what my company sees as gaps for their agency, I've actually led with, dude, how are you holding up? You shaking everybody's hand and kissing babies like a politician, and I get a laugh. And that's more memorable than this is what my company can do. Because my intent is not always to go in and be like, here's what we can do for you. It's more like, hey, how can we start building this relationship? Even if it's a baby step. Now, there are other times where things need to be accelerated, and you go in with an approach for that. But understanding where you are in terms of the types of services you offer and getting clear on the types of agencies that you can offer those services to is step one. Step one is registering on SAM.gov. So finding your NAICS code and registering on SAM.gov. That's step 1 and 2. Then it is the strategy part. And one of the things I'm very happy to say out loud now is that we're offering small business coaching for government contracting. So this is small businesses, entrepreneurs who are interested in getting into government contracting, but not quite sure how to go about starting or how to go about strategically positioning their company to be able to start bidding on contracts. So that is something I do want to talk about, because I feel like in the industry today, there is a lot of misinformation, a lot of, hey, this is easy money and you can win, $1 million contracts with just a click of a button. And all you have to do is, no, there's a lot you have to do. It's not all you have to do. And so I felt the call to be able to help you all as small businesses get ahead and get on the right path. I mean, that includes things like what certifications, if any, should I be looking at? And certifications are just a means to be able sometimes to mark you as, for me, like a woman-owned business or a minority-owned business, or I have this particular type of a vehicle, which is certification, which is a program called the 8A program under SBA. So, I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities. HubZone's another one. If you've served in the military, there's the veteran-owned or service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. I mean, there's a lot. And I think that what I've been hearing, at least on social channels, is, oh, it's easy. Oh, that's the other thing, y'all. People will take advantage of y'all. I've seen it. I've heard it firsthand. I've heard folks going to webinars and feeling like a deer in the headlights because they basically came out with nothing. They went in thinking they'd find out about government contracting, and they came out with more questions than answers. I've heard of folks paying for programs that did not deliver results. I heard of folks putting out money to get certifications and not getting those certifications. So just be careful. Vet who it is you decide to, if you decide to go the route of paying an organization or a company to do it on your behalf, on your business's behalf. Just be very cautious. If you need the right questions to ask, let me know. I'd love to start providing some of that in the comments or just in that communication. I can do that on another episode. But you got to be careful. People are out here and they will scam you. They will take your money and they won't think nothing of it. So I got tired of hearing those kind of stories. Plus, I've been hearing a lot of indirect, hey, I know this person, they're interested in government contracting, but they don't know where to go. They don't know how to start. They don't even know, what page they should be looking at. They don't know anything. And so it's part of this podcast is to help clear up some of the air on that. But then the other part is offering that coaching to help guide and keep you accountable with moving in the direction of winning government contracts. So enough on that soapbox on that. I think the other basic item that we could talk about in terms of what it looks like as a small business starting out in government contracting, or just, with an interest, a piqued interest in it, is how stable is your current business? Like, if you're struggling right now in whatever lane of service that you're doing, it might not be in your best interest to bring on government contracting as a line of business right now. But if you're pretty stable, or maybe you're tired of the burn and churn with small businesses or with corporations, and you more want to focus on something that has the potential to offer the longevity, then I would say government contracting is something that you should consider. I get a lot of, like I mentioned at the top, that I do have a number of NAICS codes that my company can perform in. We also have what's called product service codes, which is is like a 4 alphanumeric combination of things. I know training, for instance, if you offer educational training, U099 is one, but there are a number of other product service codes that you could potentially have that the government also does include as part of their solicitation process or their contract opportunity process. So just keep that in mind. I think I'll put below like where you can go look up what a product service code is, what a NAICS code is, just so that you're not trying to go all over the place for everything. I think that to help centralize some of these resources and help spur some of the conversation and clear up some of the miseducation, ill intent advice that's been out there, that's what we're here to do. So Bold Move Bestie, your homework as a small business is to look up your NAICS code and understand what it means for you. And then the next step is for you to go and register for SAM.gov. It is free, like free 99. Just go get it. And just dip your toe in the water and see what you think. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful. If there's something I can clarify more, I definitely would love to do that. If you are on YouTube, we drop episodes every Wednesday for your listening and viewing pleasure. Please continue to subscribe, comment, and review the episode. If you are on audio only, I got you covered too. We drop an episode every Friday for you on all your podcast platforms of choice. And all I ask is while you're there, just hit the review button. Give us a review or hit the stars and give us all 5 stars, 4 stars, however many stars I got going today. Give us all of them. But until next time, Bold Move Besties, I'll catch you on the next episode of She Built Success. Bye.